Welcome to Layer the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, 10 of my favorite Brian Johnson era AC/DC songs. I had made a video very recently, just like about a week ago, listing my 10 favorite Bon Scott era AC/DC songs. And when I was originally getting ready to make that video, I was just going to do my 10 favorite AC/DC songs, for both eras. But I was finding that the majority of my tracks were coming from the Bon era, and I thought, I'm just going to do a Bon list. And then I thought, hey, if I did a Bon list, I got to do a Brian list. It was a little trickier with Brian because for me, I'm really only a really big fan of like the first 3 or 4 Brian Johnson era albums. And what makes it trickier too is that Brian has actually done 11 albums with AC/DC and Bon did 6. And I was sort of surprised when I was thinking in my head and counting them out. I was like, wow, Brian, when counting the new album, he's done 11 albums now with AC/DC. But unfortunately for me, after Fly on the Wall, really kind of starting with Fly on the Wall, I feel like something happened to Brian Johnson's voice. It just kind of wasn't the same. And it really wasn't until Black Ice where I feel Brian's voice started to come back. And you can go back and you can see videos that I've done on the last 4 AC/DC albums leading up to the new one. And, my thoughts on those records. I also did a video very early on Flick of the Switch, how much I love that album and think it's sort of an underrated classic, if you will. So a lot of my picks come from the first 4 albums with Brian, but I think I've got a good mixture when I really sat down and thought about it. There are a lot of good stuff on a lot of those later Brian Johnson era albums. So, all right, here we go. These are in order, so I'm going to start with number 10. From the Ballbreaker album, the title track, Ballbreaker. I like this song because this is something that AC/DC kind of started getting away from, really like with Fly on the Wall and Forward, where they didn't have a lot of songs that had like kind of a nasty, darker groove to them. But this is one of those songs. It's got the main riff in it, is kind of like a minor key kind of riff. I love the chorus in it. It's just got a real sort of powerful chorus. And it's my favorite song from this record, and I just think it's a really great sort of classic sounding Brian Johnson AC/DC era song. So Ballbreaker. Okay, next, this was the album that I kind of felt like Brian Johnson's voice came back, and it was kind of a comeback album for the band in a lot of ways, and sort of started a new revitalized era for the band. The song Rock and Roll Train, the opening track on the record. When I heard this song, I was like, wow, man, AC/DC's back. Brian Johnson's voice is back. I think the chorus in this song is just great. I absolutely love it. There's a video of them at that really big festival. They made a DVD out of it. I can't remember what the name of the arena is that they play in. It's a huge arena, and they open up with this song, and it just sounds incredible. The chorus in it is great. I love sort of the verse riffs, the way it's sort of like the stop and start classic AC/DC style riffs, and it's just got that great sort of when the chorus hits, the whole song just lifts up, and it's really fantastic. River Plate. That's the AC/DC video. AC/DC live at River Plate when they open with Rock and Roll Train. It's absolutely fantastic. All right, next, from the Fly on the Wall album. I probably like this album better than most people, although I think this is really the first time that AC/DC takes a step down. I'll probably do a video on this album at some point, but the production for me is a little off, and Brian Johnson's voice sounds like this is where his voice, and if he damaged his voice or what happened, but he's very far back in the mix. It's very sort of hard to understand him. But I love the song Shake Your Foundations. I think that's absolutely great. There's a lot of great songs on this record, but I think that one in particular, I love the chorus in it. I love Angus's main riff, like that opening intro riff on it, I think, is kind of a unique sounding guitar riff for Angus. I love the drum beat in it. It's like the way it starts with just the drums playing kind of simple and on the snare drum, and then he kicks in and the whole band kicks in, and Angus has a lot of great lead playing on this record, and on that song in particular. I love his solo in this one. He's got all kinds of crazy bends, and like he does like this open string, like climbing a pull-off thing on an open string. It just sounds really awesome. So, all right. Okay, so this was in the album that I mentioned is a real unheralded classic for me. So this is the first one I'm going to pick from this record, the title track, Flick of the Switch. I love this song. I love the way it counts in. Bomb, bomb, that opening riff there and that kind of walk-up guitar line that they do. And I think Brian sounds great on this whole record and on this song in particular. And when the chorus kicks into this, he's just wailing up high, and it's just such a, like, got so much energy to the song. You put your fist in the air to it. The chorus is just great. I love the riffs. I love Angus's solo in it. Just a really, really cool old school style energy AC/DC song. Sounds like something that could have been on one of the 70s albums with Bon Scott. All right, I'm going to leave this album over here because this I'm going to be coming back to that album. All right, next, from For Those About to Rock, Put the Finger on You. I love this song. I love Angus's guitar riff in the beginning there, that sort of finger-picked guitar thing that Angus sort of started doing. You know, he did it on Shoot the Thrill, and then he does it here on the song Put the Finger on You. Great song. I love the chorus in it. I remember when I was young and just totally into AC/DC, they had a video for it, you know, them performing live. I love the part in this song where it just does the put head right on you. It's got those big Mutt Lange produced background vocals. It's just a great chorus. I love Brian's delivery in this song. It's just great. I sort of love the lyrics in it too. It's just a really, really cool song that I just love. All right, next, number 5 from The Razor's Edge, the song Thunderstruck. This is, you know, when you think about it, it's kind of amazing. Everybody thinks AC/DC's biggest album from Brian Johnson is without question Back in Black, but man, oh man, is this a big, big hit for the band. And you hear this everywhere, sports arenas, it's on the radio, it's in TV commercials. I mean, it is just a huge, this was a big, big hit for them. And it is just an awesome song. That opening guitar riff from Angus on the open string thing is just great. The way this song builds, it builds really great. The rhythm guitar comes in, and then the vocals, and it really doesn't kick in, you know, till like sort of halfway through the verse, and then it kicks up, and then when the chorus kicks in, it takes quite a bit of time to get to the chorus, which is really unique for AC/DC. But this is one of their biggest choruses. When this kicks in, it is just awesome. A fantastic song, and I love the way just the way the whole song builds and it just goes through the whole thing. It has so much energy. It starts off and just keeps building and building. Really, really fantastic. And it's a song that you hear covered by so many different kinds of bands in groups. Like I saw like a vibraphone group playing a cover, and I've seen marching bands do it. I've seen bagpipes do it. I've seen, you know, banjos do it. It's just because it's such a cool song. It's got so many cool riffs in it. That opening riff is just absolutely fantastic. One of AC/DC's most recognizable riffs, that little opening string thing that opening thing that Angus does there. So just an amazing song. All right, back to my unheralded classic album from Flick of the Switch, the song Guns for Hire. Love this song. It's got that thing that Angus is doing at the beginning. Bam, ba-dum, ba-dum, and then he breaks into the rhythm. Dun, 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 dun. When those drums kick in, ba, 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 da, da. That riff right there is just, I love that riff. And then I love the way it goes to the chorus. This was, I believe, on my Deep Cuts video. I had this song. The way the verse is like a major key sounding thing. And when it drops then it drops down low for the chorus there for the guns fall, yeah, riff thing. It's just great. I remember when I first started getting into AC/DC, there was a video of them in Detroit, Joe Louis Arena, and it was shown on MTV, and it was like 4 or 5 songs they did. And they actually had a couple songs from Flick of the Switch on there. I think they did Nervous Shake, or This House is on Fire. And the concert opens with Guns for Hire, and it starts with Angus on top of the guitar, on top of the PA speakers, and there's just a spotlight just on him, and he will play the little bam, and then he'd solo for a little bit, and this goes on for a while. He's just bam, and then he solos, and he puts his hand up in the air, and the crowd's going crazy, and eventually when he kicks into that, he jumps off. The drums do the thing, and he jumps off the speakers and lands right on the ground right when the whole band kicks in. It's just like, oh man, that is so cool. And when I was younger, I didn't get to see AC/DC live that much unless it was in a video. I was too young to go see them live in concert. So being able to see that, I remember I recorded it on VHS, and I just wore that VHS out, and I just loved that as a show intro. So Guns for Hire, it's always had a really special place in my heart. All right, you were probably wondering how it took me so long to get to this album. Well, Back in Black, right? One of maybe the greatest, I'll say the greatest hard rock album of all time. Well, I picked Hell's Bells. What an awesome intro to an album. That tolling bell, that when that riff kicks in, such a cool riff. This is another song that builds really well. The drums just sort of hitting those slow beats, and then when the whole band kicks in, it's got this really evil groove to it. And Brian sounds great on it. The chorus in it is just awesome. I love that at the end of this song, where it sort of holds out, Hell's Bells, just great, man. Great riffs all over it. Great guitar playing. Angus's guitar solo in this song is absolutely amazing. And what a killer way to start an album that's a tribute to Bon Scott. Bon Scott just recently passes, and the album starts with that tolling bell at the beginning. Oh, man, just so cool. One of the greatest album openers of all time, without question. All right, here is also from For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, the title track for Those About to Rock. We salute you. Such a cool song. This intro riff from Angus, one of the, maybe next to Thunderstruck, one of the most recognizable Angus guitar intro riffs, maybe. Super cool. This is another one, kind of like Thunderstruck, that builds really well. It's got a real epic sound to it. It's a laid-back song, but it just has a really cool groove to it. When the chorus kicks in, it's just so big and powerful, and I just love the whole like vibe of the whole song. For Those About to Rock, We Salute You. The end of the song, the way it builds and it goes into like the double time thing, and it's just going crazy, and Brian is shouting, shoot, fire, and the cannons are going off. That was so cool. A song that AC/DC would end their concerts with from this point out. An amazing song. I love the ending of it where everything holds out and Brian just does the fire and the cannons go off. And Brian sounds amazing on it. His vocal delivery on it is just great. The Mutt Lange production, just a killer song that builds so well. Such an awesome, intense vibe to that song. A great song. All right, so my number one pick. Now, this is a song that maybe for a lot of people is overplayed. They've heard this too many times, but this song has a special meaning to me, and it's from Back in Black, and it's You Shook Me All Night Long. If you've seen some of my other videos where I talk about my history with hard rock and heavy metal, this is the song that got me into hard rock and heavy metal. Up to this point, I was listening to Kiss and I was into it. But when I saw AC/DC, they had a video for them. They weren't playing live. It was like they were on stage, but it was the studio track doing You Shook Me All Night Long. I heard that. I saw Brian Johnson with his hat down and Angus doing his thing, banging his head, and I heard this song and it just really it hooked me. I was so into it. This is what triggered me and got me started down the road of getting into heavy metal and hard rock with a passion that I still have to this day. And I credit it to this song, You Shook Me All Night Long. This is one of the greatest hard rock songs, in my opinion, of all time. It's got that opening riff, just the guitars by themselves. As soon as it kicks in, everybody knows what song it is, what's coming up. The drum beat in it is great. It's a simple song, but again, AC/DC does a great job of building the whole tension and flow throughout the song. The first verse is just the guitar and the drums and the vocals. Brian sounds great in this. I love his vocal delivery. I love the lyrics. And when the chorus kicks in, it is just, I mean, you hear this song, it is a great, great rock and roll song. You can't help but sing along. You can't help but move in your seat. The way the second verse is it's fantastic. I love the way it builds before the guitar solo. Yeah, you took me. And then Angus's lead. Angus, people say, oh, he's a simple guitar player, but you know Angus from the first note that he plays. And this is one of his greatest solos. I could sing along as most people could every note in this guitar solo. It is just a perfect guitar solo. It builds so fantastic, coming out of it then into the chorus again. It is just such a catchy, well-written, it's a simple song, but everything is right in its place. The production is great. The drums sound great on it. The bass is so cool when it kicks in. Just an awesome song. And it's a special song for me because it's the song that turned me into the hard rock and heavy metal guy that I am today. So, all right, there you go. There's my 10 favorite Brian Johnson era AC/DC songs. Let me know in the comments down below your favorite Brian Johnson era songs. Like I said, a lot of albums from Brian Johnson in the AC/DC era, so there's a lot to pick from. So, and I'm curious to see if people pick some things from the albums that I didn't pick anything from, like Stiff Upper Lip and Rock or Bust. And I really like the new one, but I haven't had maybe quite as much time to live with that one for it to break into the top 10 for me. So, all right, let me know your 10 down below, and make sure you hit like and subscribe. And for those about to rock, we salute you.